I'm Kronos. Welcome. Today we're going back to philosophy. We're going back to Lucius Seneca. I think it's best if we can stick to a general subject and pick stuff from it and grow from that instead of just going all over the place. Creates a sort of continuation. It's easier to learn like that and to keep track. So, as you know, or you don't, I'll read it again. Lucius Seneca, Letters from a Stoic. I'll read his short biography from the back. For those of you who don't know, Lucius Annius Seneca, 4 BC to AD 65. The music is just 1 minute it's loud, or the next it's... So Lucius Annius Seneca, 4 BC to AD 65, is one of the most famous Roman philosophers, instrumental in guiding the Roman Empire under Emperor Nero. Seneca influenced him from a young age with his Stoic principles. Later in his life, he wrote Epistulae Morales ad Lucilium, or Letters from a Stoic, detailing these principles in full, which is this book. Now, we're going back, well, we're not going back, but we're going to a very interesting chapter. It is, with a very famous quote as well. It is on the philosopher's mean. And it's a continuation, if you remember from last time, he was sending letters with an acquaintance. And he told him how he sees a good future for him, etc. Now, it's basically a continuation of those letters, I believe. It is the next chapter. And it goes like this. All the philosophers mean. I commend you and rejoice in the fact that you are persistent in your studies, and that, putting all else aside, you make it each day your endeavor to become a better man. I do not merely exhort you to keep at it. I actually beg you to do so. Now, he will explain it now. I warn you, however, not to act after the fashion of those who desire to be conspicuous rather than to improve, by doing things which will arouse comment as regards your dress or general way of living, repellent attire, unkempt hair, slovenly beard, open scorn of silver dishes, a couch on the bare earth, and any other perverted forms of self-display are to be avoided. So, he commends him on the way of living, and that he is able to be persistent in his studies, etc. And that his goal is to become a better man. At the same time, he warns him not to follow the footsteps of other men who society may perceive as great, but they are really not, because they are focused on the appearance and the shallow appearance of importance. He says, basically that's what he says. to live more simply and not follow the way of like how rich people would. You don't have to dress up with the most expensive clothing, and you don't have to always have your everything like perfect, your hair, and don't focus on the shallow part. But he continues, the mere name of philosophy, however quietly pursued, is an object of sufficient scorn. And what would happen if we should begin to separate ourselves from the customs of our fellow men? Inwardly, we ought to be different in all respects, but our exterior should conform to society. So, what happens when you learn from different sources, different stuff? You focus on a different goal. Do you become different than others? Yes, inwardly. But your outside should conform to the general. So you shouldn't be completely neglecting your appearance and your the way you present yourself in public. So you shouldn't neglect that completely. You should fit in. But he continues again. Do not wear too fine, nor yet too frowsy a toga. One needs no silver plate encrusted and embossed in solid gold. But we should not believe the lack of silver and gold to be proof of a simple life. So, you don't need all those fancy things, and you don't. Back in the day, a silver plate was for the rich. Poor people couldn't afford silver and gold. So it shouldn't matter. That's what he's saying. It shouldn't matter to you if you are eating out of a silver plate, a clay plate, whatever it is. It shouldn't matter your clothing. It is not a sign. And also, on the contrary, don't try to follow in this philosophy which doesn't care for the exterior and the shallow possession, money. You might think that being poor and acting poor and living like a poor man is an act of righteousness, or like that's how it should be. But no, he's saying there is no authority in it. It is not a sign, like if you're poor, it is not a sign of a simple life. So don't strive to do that either. Don't let it sway you this way or the other. You don't have to dress too fancy, and you don't have to dress poorly. You don't need a silver plate. It doesn't matter what plate you eat out of, basically. So the lack is not a proof of a simple life. Just because you don't have something doesn't mean you live a simple life. Let us try to maintain a higher standard of life than that of a multitude, but not a contrary standard. Otherwise, we shall frighten away and repel the very persons whom we are trying to improve. So, as I said, we can maintain a higher standard. We don't have to live. You can enjoy the finer things in life, and you can live, and you can eat well, and you can dress up. It doesn't mean you can have a higher standard. Living by this philosophy, being a Stoic, doesn't mean. And in general, this philosophy, I think it's just smart in general. It's not about Stoicism, except like he is talking about Stoicism, but it's more than that. It's true for life. This is a truth of life, objectively. Once you don't care about those things, they can't affect you, and you can't be controlled and manipulated by them. Yeah. So we can maintain a higher standard, but not a contrary standard. So we're not trying to be poor or look poor, and we're not trying to look rich or be rich. We're trying to have, it should be neutral to us. And it shouldn't be a goal. So if we do live to the contrary, we might frighten away people who might want to learn, or ourselves really. We're contradicting ourselves, and people who might want to learn this way of life and philosophy might also repel away, because you can see the contrast and the contradictory. So we also bring it about that they are unwillingly to imitate us in anything, because they are afraid lest they might be compelled to imitate us in everything. This is such a smart quote. I'll say it again. We also bring it about that they are unwillingly, we also bring it about that they are unwilling to imitate us in anything, because they are afraid lest they might be compelled to imitate us in everything. So we also create a blockage, basically, a way that, see, if they don't want to compel to that, if they don't compel, if they don't follow that rule of life, that rule, and not rule, but if you act in a contradictory way and then they will refuse to imitate it, they will be unwilling to imitate that part in anything, they might be compelled, because they might be compelled to, how do I say this? Okay. You also create the situation in which your students or people who want to learn from you and this philosophy will be unwilling to learn from your behavior in anything, because they are afraid they will be compelled or manipulated to do that in everything. So if you live like a poor man to embody your philosophy, people might be repelled from that, and because of that little factor, they might not want to get into the whole. They might miss on the whole thing because of that particular part. So, I mean, I'll give an example. Some people really, really love martial arts, and they really want to hit people. But there is this part that you also get hit back. So they don't. See, they don't do the whole thing because of the little. They miss the forest for the tree. You should be 100% embodied in all of it, and you should not contradict yourself or live according to what you think it should be like, but but instead just live the philosophy and be neutral about it, basically, because you might drive away potential people who might enjoy the philosophy just because of that little thing. So that's a part of it. The first thing which philosophy undertakes to give us is fellow feeling with all men. In other words, sympathy and sociability. We part company with our promise if we are unlike other men. We must see it that the means by which we wish to draw admiration be not absurd and odious. Our motto, as you know, is live according to nature. But it is quite contrary to nature to torture the body, to hate unlabored elegance, to be dirty on purpose, to eat food that is not only plain but disgusting and forbidding, just as it is a sign of luxury to seek out dainties. So it is madness to avoid that which is customary and can be purchased at no great price. So philosophy calls for plain living, but not for penance, and we may perfectly well be plain and neat at the same time. Well, so he emphasizes again we basically don't follow our own philosophy if we are not like others as well, if we are not human, if we don't still live. And according to nature doesn't mean you have to live in penance, in regret, in a poor life. Just because you don't care about those artificial stuff doesn't mean you have to suffer. And if it is a way in which you draw admiration in a twisted way, you might think it's righteous to live like that and draw admiration like that, or try to, which is another, it's wrong. Again, it's not what it's about, living according to nature. So torturing yourself and suffering is not living according to nature. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to be poor. Just because you don't care about material stuff doesn't mean you should avoid everything materialistic. You still can eat well, you can still dress well, you can still live well. Don't torture yourself. To be dirty on purpose, to eat food that is not only plain but disgusting and forbidding. He gives examples like you can eat well, you can dress well, you can be clean, and you can be elegant, respected member of society. You don't have to live like a hermit, basically. So plain living is not penance and suffering. And you can still be plain and clean and elegant and, how would you say, you can still be what is the opposite of pride? What is the I don't know. No. Slipped out of my mind. So let's continue. So our life should observe a happy medium between the ways of a sage and the ways of the world at large. All men should admire it, but they should understand it also. So you should have a balance between living like a hermit and being with yourself, isolating, learning, and etc. And between socializing. Philosophy doesn't teach you not to socialize. On the other way around, you should socialize. You should be a part of society, and that's how you also are can be like other men. And lead, because if you're too different, people will not follow you and they will not learn from you. And if you want to bring a change, and if you want to teach this beautiful thing, you should be someone who is, normal in a way as well. So you should balance between the two. So he also emphasizes you should understand this philosophy, not just act on it, like it. So embody it, basically, when he's saying all men should admire it, but they should also understand it. They should understand it also. So it's not just about, don't put the philosophy on a pedestal. You should embody it for real, and for that you have to understand the actual reasoning behind your actions and your behavior. Well then, shall we act like other men? Shall there be no distinction between ourselves and the world? Yes, a very great one. Let men find that we are unlike the common herd. If they look closely, if they visit us at home, they should admire us rather than our household appointments. He is a great man who uses earthenware dishes as if they were silver, but he is equally great who uses silver as if it were earthenware. It is the sign of an unstable mind not to be able to endure riches. So again, first of all, he says, shouldn't we act like he poses a question, shouldn't we act like other men? Shall there be no distinction between ourselves and the world? And yes, there is a distinction, but it's not in the physical, materialistic realm. So people who want to meet you, who want to be in your company, who want to learn from you, who want to be around you, should do so because of you, not what you have. So people who want to visit you at your home should be because of you. They want to be with you, not because you have a nice home. So this goes, in today, like, for example, if you have friends who hang out with you only because you have a car, see, that's a problem. And if you have friends who are around you because you have girls, or because you have access to a place, or because you have riches and you can get them stuff, or because you buy them stuff or take them places, that's what he's saying that it should not be like. And so, yes, you should be different, but only for men who look closely, which means people really know you. You will know how different you are by your inner world, not your outer, not what you present, not what you have, but what is inside of you and who you are. That's how you should be different. So, but I wish to share with you today profit also. I find in the writing of ours, Hekato, that the limitation of desires helps also to cure fears. Cease to hope, he says, and you will cease to fear. But how, you will reply, can things be so different, go side by side? In this way, my dear Lucilius, though they do seem to at variance, yet they are really united. Just as the same chain fastens the prisoner and the soldier who guards him, so hope and fear, dissimilar as they are, keep step together. Fearful follows hope. I am not surprised that they are proceeding this way. Each alike belongs to a mind that is in suspense, a mind that is fretted by looking forward to the future. But the chief cause of both these ills is that we do not adapt ourselves to the present, but send our thoughts a long way ahead, and so foresight, the noblest blessings of the human race, becomes perverted. Beasts avoid dangers which they see, and when they have escaped them, they are free from care. But when we men torment ourselves over that which is to come as well as that which is past, no, torment ourselves over that which is to come as well as over that which is which is past. Many of our blessings bring pain to us, for memory recalls the tortures of fear, while foresight anticipates them. The present alone can make no man wretched. Farewell. This is so smart, I just had to keep going. But he goes to talk about a different subject in a way. So the limiting of desires. So he goes on to say, he builds on the not needing of materialistic stuff, and how so not getting rid of desire, especially when it's so shallow, will also get rid of the fear behind it, fear of not having it, the fear of being judged by it. So when you don't have this desire, you also cure yourself of fear. And so cease to hope is very dramatic, but cease to hope and you will cease to fear. So if you are not hoping for that big house, that big luxury and riches, you will also not fear not having them. And so you will live more peacefully. So how does they do they, that's how they go side by side. That's how they are connected. He gives an example of a prisoner and a guard, which back in the day they would shackle the prisoners to the guard, and that's how they would not escape. They would prevent them from escaping. So he gives that example. So the prisoner is guarding the right. One is trying to get away. One is guarding the other from going away. But they're always connected. After they're shackled. So after the prisoner comes the guard. After the guard comes the prisoner. So without the desire, there is no fear. So okay, so he also goes on to build on that when you look into the future in participation, and when you are looking forward to stuff and you're trying to strive to get to those stuff, you are living in the future, which also creates suspense and anxiety, basically, and fear. And instead of living in the moment. And he gives an example of the animal, which, while in danger, is afraid, but when he gets out, when the animal escapes the danger, they are carefree. They don't think, oh, what about the next time the lion comes? They don't live like that. They live in the moment. If at that moment they can be calm, they are calm. If they should be afraid, they will be afraid. They adapt to the situation, to the present moment. Only we humans use that great gift of ours, the foresight, being able to see into the future possibilities and looking back as well, and using that against ourselves, using it as a instrument of illness and hurting ourselves. We pervert it, basically. So we take a blessing and we turn it into a curse. And so how should the foresight be used? Well, it should be used to prepare for the future, but not live in it, and not think what will happen if I do this emotionally and react to it. The mind doesn't know that it's the future, present, or past. It knows what you tell it, and it is experiencing what you think. All experience comes from within, even physical. Eventually, ultimately comes from within. So when you live in the future, you live in anxiety, in anticipation, with all your desires. I will add and say you put a condition on your happiness. Not only is it that you live in fear, because what if it doesn't happen? What if it does happen? You live in the future of possibilities, so you cannot be satisfied. You missed the moment, and at the same time, you're putting a condition on your happiness. So that is a really, really good chapter, and such great examples with the animals in the garden. It does get through, at least to me. And so be like an animal, basically, is what he's saying. Live in the moment. Don't look at material stuff as a sign of you being either living your philosophy or not living it. Don't try, you need to understand where it's coming from, why we live like that, by nature, which is living by nature, just naturally. What comes naturally doesn't have to be to that side or to this side. You don't have to be poor or rich. The philosophy neutralizes that need and those desires, and that's how you find peace. So, in conclusion, I would say, live in the present moment. By living in the future, you're doing yourself a misservice. You're putting a condition on your happiness and you develop anxieties. The antidote to that is living right now. A great way to do this has nothing to do with the book, is breathing. So when you find yourself breathing actively, not passively, and doing it slowly and focusing on that, you make yourself, your being, live in that moment. You have to focus on what you're doing right now. You're doing it slowly and you're focusing. So you're in the now and here. And that's a great exercise you can do whenever you feel like you need to, because we don't do it enough, and most of us don't even breathe right. Most of us don't breathe right at all. So I would say that's a great way to start your day too. It's a form of meditation, you can do it, and you should do it all the time. Breathing exercises will give you these results. You don't have to follow a strict rule, but I suggest finding something that works for you and doing it consistently. That's the key. If you do it just once in a while, you need to keep doing it all the time. It will absolutely help you so much. And even on top of that, I would suggest taking cold showers. That will bring you to the moment, trust me. Cold showers are great, especially in the morning. They will wake you up and they will put you in the moment because you're cold. And be there and love it, you know? Be in that moment and like, yeah, it's cold, it hurts and I love it. Like, be there and like take in the benefits and understand how good this is for you. For many other reasons, which I will not go into right now, but in the future maybe. So, no man can live a happy life or even a supportable life without the study of wisdom. It's a great quote. And on that note, and on that quote, I'll see you next time. Don't forget, We are all immortal souls in temporary bodies. Don't be afraid. Ciao.